So we have 2.2.3. How can I add signed numbers? So it's asking the question, how can I add a positive and a positive? How can I add a positive and a negative? How can I add a negative and a negative? So we're going to be practicing, we're using more addition of integers. Remember, an integer is a whole number, negative, positive, and zero. And rational numbers are decimals and fractions. So in lesson 2.2.2, use integers to represent the lengths in two directions. You began using positive and negative tiles to represent this forward and backward movement. Today you're going to use, I call them integer tiles, to model expressions with integers, assigning the positive tile a value of positive 1, and this tile right here with a value of negative 1 or the opposite of 1. In your teams, think about these questions as you work. Can we show what an integer represents in more than one way? What can we do if the numbers are very large? So I'm going to start with 2-56 right here. And you are going to need to use the integer tiles. I have gotten those out. They are up at the front. And what it says right here is, who has more? With a partner, you're going to get a bag. In your team, you're going to get a bag of integer tiles. Reach into the bag, get a small handful. I'm going to warn you, right here, small handful. You have to draw them, a small handful, just a little bit, and you're going to put them on your desk. Each person should have their own set of integer tiles. The first thing after you get your integer tiles, you're going to draw them on your paper. Then, as a team, you're going to determine whose pile has the greatest value. Lastly, we're going to answer this question right here where we find the value. So I'm going to show you where this is real quick. So I have my little homework problem right here, and everything's too close because of the last lesson. So we have right here 2.2.3, more addition of integers and rational numbers. Our first one is 256. This is where you're going to draw what you get. This is what I got. I got my bag of integer tiles right here. I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to reach in right here, and I'm going to grab some. Notice I am not grabbing an entire handful. So there's my tiles that I grabbed. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I need to draw these. I'm a particular math student. I don't want to just draw them the way that I threw them on the table here. I'm going to kind of organize them a little bit because I know that I'm going to be using them soon. So I kind of just, I like putting all my positives together and all my negatives together. And I end up with this. I'm going to draw this on my paper right here. And I'm going to do that off screen just so that you can continue to see what I have. But I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these positive integer tiles. And then I have 1, 2 of the opposite of 1. So my drawing looks like this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I have 2 more. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what value it is. So remember we talked about that a positive 1 and a negative 1 makes a 0. Positive 1 and a negative 1 makes a 0. And so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have a value of 7 for mine. You're going to need, so yours is depending upon the number of students you have in your team, this is where you're going to put each of the members of your team's tiles at and their value.
Kyla, sorry, you're going home. Kyler, you're going home.
Right here, you're going to write the name of the student whose pile has the greatest value. So go ahead and stop the video and do that now.